So I'm always fascinated with people's testimonies of their near-death experiences, kind of ever since that God encounter. Well, actually, my wife had an NDE a long time ago, so I've been really kind of interested, fascinated in them ever since. But when a person who's Mandela affected has an NDE, I get even more interested. So I was going to read to you one that's a Mandela affected person, and this is Listen to Truth channel. And this is the testimony in a nutshell. And forgive me if oh shoot, hold on. All right, sorry. I'm having to pause because the building has decided to do tests on the fire system and they're making noise every once in a while, but that'll encourage me to get through this rather quickly. All right, so testimony in a nutshell. I have always considered myself to be a realist. I never listened to NDEs or OBEs experiences because I always thought they were just stories, fabricated dreams. Yet here I am with a story of my own. I don't expect anyone to believe me. I was brought up in a Christian home that was based more on traditionalism than spirituality. As a child, we denomination hopped with every move, which was every 1 to 2 years until I entered junior high. My father was not in the military, but I used to joke that he was in the FBI. He worked as a safety manager for paper mills, but now I'm starting to wonder. Here's how my truth journey began. I saw 5 orbs dancing in the sky. At night, the view from our back porch, Memorial Day weekend 2016, I thought for sure I had lost it. At that point in my life, I was remarried, 2 children, and knee-deep in corporate America. I went on YouTube for the first time and started watching alien videos. At some point, I realized that they didn't align with my Christian upbringing. So I started listening and watching Christian fringe theories. In 2018, I heard about the Mandela effect on Richie from Boston's channel. This totally floored me. My Bible's changing? What? I had to step away from the ME at that point. I was riddled with anxiety and couldn't process it all. I am highly affected by the Mandela effect and still question my memory, but I definitely think there's a memory hijack of sorts going on. My testimony: during the lockdowns, I was laid off and decided to spend my days with Captain Morgan rum. I wasn't depressed or afraid. I justified it as a long overdue vacation. It still didn't take long for me to start going through a gallon of Captain Morgan every 3 or 4 days. So for 2 solid years, I drank every day. I continued to read and watch Truth or Info, but I was numb the entire time. To top that off, I convinced my husband to sell our home and move closer to my mother and sister. So here we are. I made a huge profit on the family home. I was totally numb to everything, drinking, taking antidepressants daily, but still claimed my faith. I was such a mess and a hypocrite. At 44, I had no desire to do anything except stay up all night and sleep all day. I cannot make any excuses. I literally sacrificed my husband and children for my desire to run away. My life miraculously changed during the early morning of October 30th, 2022. Let me back up to Saturday, the 22nd. At this point, we were in our new home for a little over a year. I'm drinking more than I've ever had in my life. And yep, we had no more money from the sale of our home. I knew that there was going to come a point where I was either going to have to go back to work or quit my habits. My husband works remotely full time, but it wasn't enough, and now our savings were gone. On the 22nd, my husband and I were going to the store to grab the bare essentials, not my extracurriculars. And I'm thinking, how can I convince him to buy what I want? We have no real food in the house. I'm 100% selfish. We get to the store and I don't bring up anything. While in the car, he says, I love you. I don't want to lose you. But if you aren't part of the solution, you're part of the problem. I'm going to give you 30 days to get clean, or you're going to have to be out. In my arrogance, I was livid. We got home and I am so angry, but God changes my heart. I called my husband and children into the living room and confess. I told them that I'm an addict through and through, lacking empathy. I can't hear God. I told them I am going to go through withdrawals in the next week, and it's going to look like I'm dying. From that day forward, I prayed and prayed. I unknowingly fasted because I knew they deserved to eat what little we had in the house. I did not. It was my selfish behavior that resulted in this predicament. I wasn't going to ask my extended family for money because I knew that I would use it for myself first. So, fast forward to the 28th, a Friday. My husband asked if I wanted anything. He received his paycheck and we had a little left over. He purchased a small bottle of alcohol for me and some other things. At this point, I still hadn't truly surrendered myself. I thought for sure my tolerance had reset and I could just go back to the same old, same old. I drank, but nothing happened. No buzz, nothing. I went to sleep that night and repeated the process on the night of the 29th. Still nothing. I was so frustrated. I remember going to bed with my husband snoring next to me, and I just cried. I didn't know how to handle any of this. I was so tired of all this, and thinking only of my needs. I assumed my small sacrifice of a week of good behavior was enough. Why weren't any of my old tricks working anymore? So then I started to pray for others, people I had not thought of for years. In my prayers were not in the traditional sense, but in a real need for everyone to be all right. Obviously, my eyes were physically closed, but I could still see light. I was thinking that one of my children must have left the kitchen light on and that I was seeing it through my eyelids. I started to feel a tingling vibration. I then realized that I could no longer feel my physical body. I was laying on my stomach and I could feel my spirit separate from my body. As I began to cross over, all of my worries and fears disappeared. I thought, this is death, and it is beautiful, not scary and painful like the picture the world paints. It was absolutely euphoric. There was a messenger or guide with me, but I don't recall his or her face. It wasn't God or Jesus because I didn't fall in worship. I was just being led. My back was turned from the light. I didn't have a life review or go into a tunnel as many NDE experiencers state. I was in what I would call a waiting room. There were people there that I recognized. My brother-in-law that passed in 2015 and two people that were in the truth community that passed during the lockdowns. My brother-in-law was a strong Christian but very passive. One of the gentlemen was a leader in the spiritual warfare and the other groundbreaking in biblical cosmology. I have since come to the realization that all three are important somehow. Their common denominator is Christ. I am not passive but overly aggressive. I am not a leader or in spiritual warfare, but have had to let go of many demons. And the world is not a globe, okay? I did not have any communication with these three individuals while on the other side, other than calling out my brother-in-law's name. There was no verbal communication. It was all telepathic. I did receive messages. I first asked if my children would be okay. The response from the messenger was a chuckle and they will be just fine, as if it were a silly question. Not in an arrogant way, but as in all we care about in the physical is futile sort of way. It is hard to explain, but it gave me peace. And then I asked where the trackers were, and I pointed to my ears and teeth and ovaries and receiving a nod. This makes sense because of the medals that I've received surgically in different procedures. From that point, I received the following information. Remember everything that you want to remember. Your memories are the pieces of your puzzle. Plant seeds, and everything will be just fine. I don't remember returning to the physical world. I woke up the next morning with my first thought being that, in quotes, it is all a script. I guess in the churchy sense, I received the Holy Spirit, or in the New Age sense, my vibration was heightened. From that point and for many months, I was still euphoric, having no desire to return to the old gimmicks of this world. I have not had a drink since this experience, immediately kicking the antidepressants, which I was on for 13 years, not missing one day. There was no notable withdrawals, and I had a little insomnia, but I just woke and read during that time. I started really paying attention to the Mandela effect after my experience last year. I do not follow any religion, but my spirituality leans more towards Christian views, but not like the mainstream. I am more on a broad, more, I am more on board with some form of preterism. All my life, even as a child, I have thought, what is the point in all of this? Well, preterism is, I believe that's the belief that Jesus has already come back, like back thousand years ago or so already. Anyway, I believe that for the most part, everything is a lie, a joke, a theater, medical establishment, political system, public indoctrination, dot, dot, dot. I give all glory to the creator of all things for this. I did none of it. I can't even pass up a cookie, let alone quit all of this at once. My will is not strong enough. I know me. I am not saying that I'm special. I just don't know what it all means, but it's got to mean something. I have had many other synchronicities in my life. I won't bog you down with them. I'm hoping to learn more, and sorry about my rambles. Just, I have no way to prove anything except my family is a witness to my sobriety. And that kind of concludes her testimony. So the thing that I find interesting is so many of these near-death experiences, when people go to the other side, like over and over and over, they come back with some sort of gift or healing. Like a lot of times there's some miraculous healing. And in this case, that person was able to just like say no to a lifelong, like a 13-year addiction to antidepressants and alcohol. That's huge. Just to be able to just stop just because of a near-death experience, it just breaks that chain or hold. And then there's other gifts often reported, like a heightened telepathic ability, a heightened empathic, something, just like knowing things, seeing things, stuff like that. I mean, just the fact that she saw orbs is pretty interesting. Oh, and by the way, the background picture here is my daughter's latest painting. She's been painting more and selling more of her paintings, so we're all happy for her doing that. But and just makes a good background. Anyway, I thought that was a great little testimony, especially since it's a truther and Mandela effect person. And I've listened to I must be over 1,000 of testimonies, and I will admit I have come across some that definitely I can point out as not being truthful. There are some people out there that are just flat out, for whatever reason, a desire for attention, a desire to get people to believe a certain belief system. It could be a lot of different things, but there's definitely some of them that are just flat out making it up. And I wish they wouldn't do that. It's very frustrating when people decide to be dishonest, and it sets. I mean, there's consequences there. I mean, they might be misleading somebody down the wrong path by doing what they're doing. They could be causing problems in another person's life by not being truthful. So just gotta pray for that. But I do enjoy hearing about people's accounts, and hope to do some more reviews and bring to you some clips about that sort of thing. But I just wanted to upload that little testimony, and hope you all have a great day. God bless.